Hi, and welcome to Katrina Talks With series for the OCC. I'm really pleased that you can join me today. And I have a brilliant guest for you, who is Angus Grady, more known or more familiar as the LinkedIn Unlocker, and one of my very, very good friends. So thank you so
Hi,
much for
Katrina.
joining me today.
It's an absolute pleasure. When you asked me, I thought, nah, got other things. No, I thought, gotta do it. More than happy to do it.
So I'm sure some of you, if you're regular buzzers, would who must have met Angus on a random Remo room at some point during lockdown, and you're also going out and about networking for face to face now as well, aren't you, Angus? Have you been to any buzzes lately?
I went to Hemel Buzz recently, and very good, very much enjoyed it. I went to Aylesbury Buzz the last time as well, and I was there for longer than my customary 10 minutes. I always seem to get the time wrong at Aylesbury. I don't know why. I know it's exactly the same time, but I always arrive late. I know there's no late in Buzz, but
There is
late,
no such thing as late in Buzz.
15 minutes to the end, come through the door. Sorry, guys.
So Angus, you've been a networker for quite some years. I think I met you. Well, I can't even remember when I met you. It's got to have been around about 2008, 2009.
I think before then.
Possibly 2007, but no earlier than that, because I wasn't networking then. I was in London with when I was working for another organisation before I got into networking as a professional. But yes, so when I first met you, you told me, I actually went. I think I saw you speak was the first time I ever remember meeting you, and you were the thought leader on LinkedIn. You were doing LinkedIn lunches, I think, at the time. So come and tell us, obviously that's quite some time ago, what's been happening in your business journey, because you're also a business owner in your own right. So tell us a little bit about you, your background, how you got into LinkedIn, and I'm going to fire some questions at you.
I know what the capital of Upper Volta is. I looked it up.
Sounds like you need to be on my quiz team, not on this Katrina Talks series. We're going to be talking mainly around LinkedIn, but fire away. Tell us what you've been up to.
Okay. So my background's at ad agencies, and I ran what was called the knowledge department. So I've always been dibbling around the edges of research, desk research, causing trouble, phoning people up, asking difficult questions. So I carried that forward, ran a mystery shopping company for a while, got into social media. Then I thought I'd concentrate on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn to me was the focus of social media. I didn't care about, Facebook and Twitter, although I do think Twitter's brilliant. Not sure about Facebook. Instagram's good, whatever. But LinkedIn I concentrated on because I think it's a business critical tool. And I think if we're critical about our business, then the two sit together really, really nicely. And I think it encompasses everything. It's a research tool, it's a networking tool, it's a connecting tool, it's a business development tool. The thought leadership thing is there as well. If you want to be somebody who gives out value, then LinkedIn is perfect. And I think the good thing is it's changing, and my business has changed and morphed around that as well. So I do quite a lot of talks. I still do LinkedIn lunches, and I did one recently. We had 22 people, not huge, but big enough for me to get to everybody, and small enough for everybody to get my personal attention. That sounded bad. Personal attention in the lunch. And 2.5 hours. And so those teaching over Zoom, face-to-face, everything really.
That'd be a really good thing actually to expand on, because I know you're not too far away from us. I know you're just based outside Aylesbury, aren't you?
We're in Boxmoor, just on the edge of Hemel.
Is it Hertfordshire? Hertfordshire. So not far away. Where do you hold these LinkedIn lunches?
Well, I've been doing them in like the local pub, which is in like Boxmoor. The Three Blackbirds, great place, parking, brilliant. I've done them in Aylesbury, done them in Milton Keynes. I've got one coming up in a couple of the end of May in Bristol. So I really want to make it a national thing without making it a national thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
think, what do people bring their laptops, and do they actually work on their profiles, or
the idea is
copious amounts of notes?
the idea is that you come along to learn, but I'm not there to take you through. I always say, this isn't Private Ryan. I'm going back for no one. So essentially, people sit there, they can take notes and they can make changes. It's a bit of networking, a bit of lunch, 2.5 hours of chit chat around LinkedIn. I do a half-hour talk, Q&A session. Works out quite nicely. People get a handout and they go away having learned something and implemented some stuff as well. So win-win really.
Brilliant. So if anybody's interested in learning more about the LinkedIn lunches, I will gladly send the links to you if you ask. But we're going to be specifically talking around how a business owner, because all of us in the OCC are business owners in our own right, can get the best use out of LinkedIn. And you're going to share some really good top tips and golden nuggets that we can actually take away from this discussion and implement straight away. I just would like to ask a question, because I am aware that there are sort of different types of businesses out there. Would you say that it suits all business owners, LinkedIn? Because you mentioned about, how you can use it, different tools and stuff. But if you're a business to consumer business, is LinkedIn the right place for you?
You can. It's so easy to manipulate it and change it for your own goods. I've worked with people who are cleaners, who are solopreneurs, who are accountants. It doesn't matter. LinkedIn is the same principle. Because you think about how many passive connections you've got. Most people have about 10,000 connection family. About a 10,000 pound a 10,000 connection family. I thought that's Richard Branson. He always calls at this time. No, Richard, I'm not coming to Necker Island. Essentially, everyone has got a huge pool of connections that they should really be looking at, but we forget how many we've got. So whether you're B2C, B2B, I always think it's more B2B, back to basics, and B2C is.
I love your acronyms.
Is like brand to consumer. It's to conversation. It's all about conversations. It really is. And the simple thing is, it works for everybody.
Okay, thank you. What's the best way of using the LinkedIn profile?
I'm glad you asked, Dan. There is no best way. I think that the best way is your way. Okay. And you've got to have it. So it's about GDPR, growing deeper personal relationships, gathering dependable prospects regularly. It's about how you position yourself and how you search for people to talk to. There's no one way, apart from it's a landing page, not a leaving page. It's a website, and people forget that. It's the best website you're ever going to have that you don't have to pay for. Essentially, if your website got 800 million hits, which is the potential of your profile, then you'd be paying an SEO expert tons for that. If your article gets 100 views, well, that's more than your blog possibly. I'm not saying it is, but a lot of people, if they get 30 people hitting their blog, yes, big time. So, it's a fantastic tool for making sure that you get your profile right. And there's some very simple things. It's keywords. Keywords become, or other skills become keywords, become hashtags. So get your skills right, okay? And you can invent a skill. So if people go to my profile and endorse me for LinkedIn Unlocker, fantastic. You'll be entered into the 2-week holiday to Barbados. No, you won't. The point is this. The point is this, that a skill is a keyword. Okay, so most people have, general manager or, accounting. Well, you were an accountant a decade ago. Think about what your skill is now and invent one that's your category of one. Okay, so I'm a LinkedIn.
I've heard you say that a lot, this category of one. Can you expand on what it is that?
Okay, I'm essentially a LinkedIn trader. Okay, I do LinkedIn training, and that's basically my category. But I don't want to sit in that category, so I've invented LinkedIn Unlocking, because it's the same but massively different. It's a bit like, if you can name something, you can own it.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
once you've owned it, it's yours. Now, I defy anybody to tell me who the second person was to fly the Atlantic solo. We all know, we all know Charles Lindbergh did it, but who the hell has heard of Bert Hinkler? No one. Great quiz question. Who was the second? It is. But everybody remembers Amelia Earhart because she was the first woman to do it. So the first person gets the prize.
Yeah.
Bert Hinkler, love him, spent his life telling people, yeah, right, Bert. Yeah, really, Bert, love you. You love it. Yeah, great, Bert. No one cares.
Yeah.
They only care about the first. So
standing out from the crowd.
Yeah. Do you remember Orange phones a million years ago? Okay. Orange created that. I was in the ad industry at the time, and they deliberately called it something vague so they could give it some attributes and some benefits. They created their own category within mobile phones, and they went on to do fantastic stuff. That's what it's about. Create your category of one, and then your skill, LinkedIn Unlocker, becomes a keyword, and it becomes a hashtag. So I sign everything off LinkedIn Unlocker. So when you click on that, everything that I've written that has that hashtag in comes up in a list. Hello, simple stuff, simple stuff. And to really stand out, you've got to just keep that category of one in mind.
I like what you said as well about there's no best way, it's your way, because I think that there's a lot of pressure on us as business owners. We get lots of information from lots of different places. You need to do this to be successful, you need to do that to be successful, but actually, taking that pressure away and just using it to your own advantage of the things that actually work for you. And there's no one way that will yield results. There's lots of different ways, and you've got to find which works for you.
The way I say it is that can't doesn't mean can't. So can't is, the established thinking, and it doesn't mean can't. And you should, if somebody says I can't do something, I think, well, why not? It's like there are loads of places in LinkedIn that you can really be quite creative with. You get a 10-second pronunciation element to your name. Now that's clearly for people who have a name like Bert Hinkler, who have a name that's hard to pronounce. Nobody uses it for that. If you go to my one, it just says Angus Grady, LinkedIn Unlocker, magnetizing profiles to attract the best, repel the rest. Call me now, you bugger. It doesn't say that last bit, but it tells people what it is that I do. And there's lots of little places that you can tweak stuff.
Well, let's talk about that, because there's loads of different sections that you get on your LinkedIn profile, don't you? Is one of those sections more important than the other?
Yes,
or?
skills, because skills is your category of one. Once you've established that, you can then go forward and use that skill as a keyword in your headline. The first 46, 47 characters, could be 45, who cares? The first 40, nearly 50 characters follow you everywhere. Okay, so you want your keyword at the front.
Right.
So,
what about all these people that put these emojis and all sort of weird and wonderful stuff in their names? Is that good, bad? Should we be doing it? Shouldn't we be doing
emojis at the end if you're going to do it, okay? Because they're unrecognized characters. LinkedIn doesn't go, oh, look, there's a magnet. Oh, that must mean magnetize. It goes, what the? Forget that. And it affects your classification. So put all of that at the end of your headline.
There's one thing that I remember you telling me once about how important it is to actually use a picture of yourself. And that really stuck in my mind, because there's always, sometimes I search, because I'm quite nosy, being a networker and all that. I always like to check out people's profiles, and it drives me nuts when, you go to search for somebody and it comes up with like a branded picture or so. I mean, there could be valid reasons to why people don't want to share their photographs, and we have to acknowledge that. So, I wouldn't dismiss anybody, but if you don't have any issues with sharing your picture, I think it should always be, you know, a up-to-date current picture
Oh
of
yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
because I use it to spot people. If I go in and I'm meeting somebody for the first time, I like to know roughly who I'm going to be looking for in that crowd. And if it's a picture from, you know, your dad's wedding back in 1975, and now, you know, you look completely different, you know, that actually is a bit weird as well. So making sure that they're current photographs and in line with your brand and, you know, what you're doing and
Yeah,
things.
exactly. But also, some people forget that one of the settings is show your photo to everybody, basically, and they don't have that on. So some people have it only to their connection. So if you're not connected to them, sometimes you just get a face, you just get the blank, and it's because their settings are wrong. But I get that. I've actually, years ago, I was at a networking event, and this bloke was talking to me, and I thought, yeah, hold on, I'm actually meeting somebody you know, called like Malcolm. Get lost, you know, whatever in my head, and it turned out he was Malcolm. But the photo he had up, he had Heathcliff lush hair, you know, swaying back by a wall with a wind in his hair. In reality, he was like a table
Completely different.
he was like bald, you know, about 2 foot high, bless him.
Yeah.
And I just
That
thought,
sounds a
well,
bit like some of the blokes I dated on internet dating, but that's another story. But yeah,
yeah,
I completely
we'll
agree
come
with
to
that.
that
I
one
think,
in a minute.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
make a
another
note.
chat. Yeah, and the other thing that drives me mad about LinkedIn, and maybe you can expand on this as well, is it's always changing. I just think I understand it, and then it will do some like magical update or something, and things will be different. There was one the other week, actually it's probably not longer than a week ago, it was probably a couple of months ago now, where it said set your creator mode on, right? So I thought, oh, that looks interesting, so I clicked it on, and then I think you said to me turn it off, and I could never work out why, but I switched it off, and
Well,
apparently it means something. I don't
essentially,
really understand, it always keeps changing, it drives
okay,
me nuts.
creator mode is for people that create content, but by
Hmm.
switching it on, it means that people can only follow you as a default. They have to work hard to then connect with you. Call me old fashioned, call me Kevin, but the whole point of, sorry if there's any Kevins here, the whole point, sorry mate, the whole point, the whole point is that it's about conversations. And if you're following somebody, it's blooming hard to start a conversation. And when you have creator mode in, your about section drops down. Okay, there's more of your content being shown, but if no one's clicking on your content, what's the point? So that's one.
Mm.
And the other thing that they've changed recently, which is brilliant, and people should bear this in mind, in your about section, which I could go on about all day long, because about stands for address business owners' underlying troubles. It's not about me, it's about how I solve your problem. In the about section now, all links are live on a mobile.
Right.
So you've got to, so if you want to put your website in there or a link to your offer, put it in there. And my advice is use something like Bitly, which shortens links.
Hmm.
And then of course you can then customize that link. So I've got Angus's recommendations, Angus's services, Angus's whatever, Bitly Angus's services. It takes you straight to that. But in your about section, you want to get in a couple of links because the algorithm is looking for them now.
It's all about the algorithms, isn't
It's all about Al Gore. It really
it?
is, you know.
So on average, a post, how can you get the most engagement from a post? Because that's one of the things that we do, and you're probably going to tell us that we're wrong, but one of the things that we do in the OCC is we work on projects that we don't normally get round to on our to-do list, and sometimes that might be writing a blog post or, you know, doing something on social media, planning the social media activities. And when people post up stuff, you know, as a team, they'll say, oh, I've just posted my newsletter, and we'll go, and we'll all jump on it, and we'll all comment and like and share it and things like that. Is that the right thing to do to start getting traction? Is there any magic button we can press to make sure that our content gets into the faces of our people that we want to see?
The old days were great because you could put a post up and all of your connections would actually see it. Those days are long gone. So my advice is put a hashtag in there that you know is being followed by a lot of people. So if you put hashtag banana, it's not going to happen. If you put hashtag sales or hashtag networking, then when people do searches on that hashtag, then your post should come up in it. But also just think slightly laterally. It's about creating curiosity that turns into connection, conversation, then a convert. So you want to create curiosity. So, hello, this is my latest newsletter. It's not really doing it. If you wrote something along the lines of, I've been locked in a cupboard for a week, people think, really? You want to read that? And so you
writing my newsletter.
Yes.
Here it is.
Yeah. The spelling may be wrong because it's still dark in here. But basically, you want to write something that grabs attention.
Them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like good old-fashioned copy. It's the headline that sells, not the content, not the copy.
What about
headlines?
Pictures?
Again, there's a whole lot of research that says, using a picture isn't good. I just think every now and again, bung one in. Carousels are what's really doing well at the moment. It used to be polls. Carousels are now.
Oh God, I hate polls on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Sorry. Oh my God.
I know, but the point.
Other person's writing a poll on something like that. It was quite fun back last year when I had nothing else.
Back in the day, yeah.
Back in lockdown,
yeah.
when I just wanted some interaction. But go on.
So I mean, like carousels are really good because again, they're the new polls. But again, bear in mind that from a company page, a poll does really well. If you've got 500, 600, 700 followers, a poll normally does quite well in there as well. And don't forget, every single answer segment is a bit of new business potential because you can go back to them and say, Katrina, when you said I should be locked in the cupboard for days rather than let out, what did you mean?
Yeah.
You've got a conversation point.
Yeah, really
so
good.
So carousels are really good at the moment.
Okay.
You just got to think of it as being little bits that make up the whole, but each little bit, your about, your experience, your headline, your banner. Change your banner on a regular basis and have something in your banner that is a value proposition. I see so many people with seascapes or cityscapes. I think, what, they're a sailor, they're an architect, they're a swimmer, what the hell? And they're an electrician, and you think, really, what is that? How does that relate to what they've got? So just think of it as a kind of a website, and think of it as a way that if you change it, it's a bit like any website. Google thinks, hello, what's going on over there? And it scurries across and has a look. But your skills, the keywords, make sure you've peppered them through your about section.
What about LinkedIn like when you recognize people? I mean, I really love seeing those thanking posts or kudos or anything like that. If somebody's done something for me, I really like using those. And I like to champion people as well. And I like to share information. And I think the key to what you were saying earlier about being engaged is not always about what you're putting out, but it's actually what you're putting back in as well.
Exactly that, Katrina. Exactly that. Because again, people say, I've got 400 recommendations. Yeah, great. How many have you given? Well, none. Why? And it's about the giving. I mean, I always say, because of the fellowship I'm in, that you've got to give it away to keep it. Okay, so it's important for me in terms of what I do outside of LinkedIn to make sure that I help people who are having trouble with alcohol. Because why? People help me, and I wouldn't be here unless they help. And I think that if you give something out, it comes back tenfold. So give as many recommendations. My surname's spelled Grady. And a friend of mine won't give kudos because he has so many American clients and they all say kudos, and he said, right. no, I think it's kudos. No, I think it's kudos, Kevin. There's Kevin again.
And also, I like the fact that I like to have good discussions with people and also encourage people. So when I go through LinkedIn probably 3 or 4 times a day. just quickly have a scroll through to see what's going on. But I also like to engage with people's posts and write things. Does that help with your profile if you're engaged? Does it not make any difference? Oh, it does.
It's a lot of difference. So if you comment, then the algorithm kind of likes the fact that you're getting engaged. Go back to your social selling index. One of those is an engagement. It's about insights. It's about engaging with insights. And whether you like social selling index or not, it's somewhere in LinkedIn, the algorithm is capturing how many times you comment. And if you simply comment great post, LinkedIn somewhere they go you have to say something a bit more than great post,
a bit more profound,
a bit more insightful.
Yeah. And going back to that social selling index, for those people that aren't aware what it is, can you just explain that bit?
Okay. There should be, there's a link. I'll send Katrina just actually go in and just put LinkedIn social selling index. It's a sales navigator gateway. It's to fluff you into Sales Navigator, but essentially look at it. It's 4 components about building relationships, contributing, engaging, and having a strong professional brand. Okay, if it's around the 70 mark, it means you really need to get a bit of work done. If it's over about 74, then happy days. If it's in the 80s, then you're wonderful. The point is, though, that it's a barometer only.
Okay, so you can use it to sort of like gauge how well your LinkedIn profile is doing.
The best thing to think about is how many conversations you're having. Now, LinkedIn don't use that as a metric, but the messaging function on LinkedIn is improving all the time. So I create groups of people. Okay, and I have conversations on LinkedIn to start with via the messaging app, and you can do 60 seconds worth of sort of audio as a message to somebody. And if you're going to do that, always write a line underneath it. So rather than you looking at your phone and seeing a load of blue lines, have a reference point. Taking me out to lunch, smiley face, or whatever, then at least you know that
I haven't answered that one yet.
I know. I sent it 5 times. But have a reference point, so when you know what to ignore as well. Obviously you've ignored the lunch one, but
I do like that, the fact that you're actually using Messenger in a different way. So not just sending, like a text written message, but actually
combining voice and also text, because once you've sent the audio, you've got like a minute or so to write something, and normally it's just about tomorrow's meeting. Then that voice message is about, not when you think which bloody voice message was talking about the meeting, which one it is.
Also, I know that you're a lover of videos on LinkedIn. Talk to me about that then, because you do a very special thing when you first connect with people, don't you?
I send them a video. With the connection request, and that's quite an art to know how to do it. But essentially, they get this background because I've had a screen made with my logos on, and I just use this particular tool and send a video. And every person that I send one to comes back and just says, "Wow, wow," because you're already building meet, like, no trust. And as corny as that is, it's important. Because my job is to get the person I'm connecting to a phone call as quick as I can. So I call it. You've
got a strategy in place to what you're doing with all these connections.
So I actually call it vamping. Okay. Video first, followed by audio, followed by mail, something in the post, followed by a phone call. Now, if they live in Elon de Ragua, the postcard isn't going to happen. But if they're UK based, I will ask them for their postal address. And 9 times out of 10, they'll give it to me quite gladly. And I send them a postcard. "Hello, Katrina. Lovely to meet you. Lovely to be connected on LinkedIn. Look forward to the next conversation." 9 times out of 10, people phone me and say, wow, the last time I got a phone, the last time I got a postcard, it was from South Wales from my brother on holiday.
Yeah. So that, again, it's all about that standing out from the crowd, isn't it? And doing things differently, and touch points.
Points.
Yeah.
And
Not
there's
one thing is the sole thing. You have to do lots of different things.
I think that, I think that if you're serious about doing business with a person, then you'll think of ways in order to engage that person differently. Direct mail, I think, works a treat because there's no competition on the doormat, but there's huge competition in the inbox. When did you last go through your emails with any glee? Never. Strikes me as being, and that's the point of LinkedIn. It's actually 2 words, linked in. So how are all of your messaging and marketing tactics linked in together to get Katrina into a phone call where I can talk and find out a little bit more? And it's not social selling, it's social solving. Okay, your profile is a filter. You want people to read it and go, not for me. But you want to address the issues of your target market and your ideal client. So when they read it, they go, bloody hell, this profile is talking directly to me. Do you da-da-da? Are you? Well, yes, tick, tick, tick. Let's connect. Boom.
Angus, this has been so insightful. I could talk to you for absolute hours. In actual fact, I do often. And I always come away with something new. I'm going to go and check out some carousels now. Thank you so much for joining us. One last thing that you want to leave on? Is there a final thing?
I think really the place that people are not concentrating their firepower on is providing services. If you go to Open2, click on that. Somewhere down there it says providing services. Fill that section in. Why? It's got its own URL. It's another mini about section within LinkedIn. It allows you to ask people for reviews of the services you provide that fit to LinkedIn's kind of services. But get somebody to review you for networking, and then they're all visible. You can add rich media to that section. Go and check out mine. But the basics are that it's a site within a site that you can have a link to, and I do it all the time. Bitly Angus's services takes you straight through to that area. So if I'm talking to somebody in a message or a tweet, then I'll put that in and they click on it and it pings them into my LinkedIn profile. Is that not the whole point of all of this?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
So that's about it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that Angus has shared some really good top tips with you, and that you can take them away and try them out and let us know how you get on. You can also connect with Angus. He's on LinkedIn. Google it, search LinkedIn Unlooker and he will pop up, and he's always willing to have a conversation. So thank you so much again, Angus, and until the next time, OCCers, I'll see you soon.
Take care. Stay safe.
Thanks.